Hey, how you doing? This is Kitch, and you are watching me play Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead. Or Santa Claus Ahead, I guess, depending on what time of year it is. This is one of my favorite games of all time. So much so that it's actually listed in my channel description as one of the games that I like to play. And this channel's been around for over 2 years now, and I have yet to have it on the channel. I can't figure out with a new YouTube studio how to change that description, so I figured it'd be a lot easier just to go ahead and play the game. It has been a number of years since I have played this game. This game is old. It's been around for a very long time. I want to say maybe 10 years. It sure feels like it. But the game's it's an open source project, so the game's been under constant development that whole time. Things are constantly changing. New builds are being released sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. It's just constant development. And things change rapidly. So a couple of years out of this game is a lot of stuff's changed from when I last played. So expect me to die often and in crazy, stupid ways. The idea of the game is that it's basically a post-apocalyptic survival roguelike. And when I say post-apocalyptic, I mean the worst kind of post-apocalyptic you can think of. It's a kitchen sink sort of thing where there's alien invasions, interdimensional beings, funguses, intelligent fungus, mutant animals, and zombies everywhere. It's a pretty bad deal. And we were lucky enough to be one of the survivors, or unlucky enough to be one of the survivors, depending on how you look at it. And it is a roguelike. A true roguelike, at least as I would consider it. Roguelike, you can get into a lot of really boring discussions on what is a true roguelike. But I feel that, there's turn-based part of it. There's the procedural generation part of it. But then there's this other thing that, it's just, it when you see it. And I see it in this game. I see it in this game. There's a lot of complexity. There's a very steep learning curve. It is very, very deep. But it's one of those games that what you put into it, you get out of it twofold. So let's just get into it. Let's just jump into it. Let's start a new game. The first thing we need to do is generate a world. And on the first screen here, we get a long list of mods that we can go ahead and install. There's a lot of mods that come included in the game that tweak little things here and there. I'm just going to go ahead and start basically with the default setting, with the Dark Days Ahead, which is the base game. And this was included by default where we're not doing our NPC needs. I'll just go ahead and keep it. My world options are pretty much the same. I did bump up the size of cities a bit to 10. The default is 8. That just controls how big the cities that spawn are with the character that I want to play. I just want a little bit of a bump there. And let's see, I turned on static as well as random NPCs. Should be interesting. You didn't want to do this several years ago because you would be just wandering around doing your little survivor thing, and then all of a sudden this random survivor would come and blow you up with a bazooka just out of nowhere. And from what I understand, things have toned down a little bit from those days. So we'll just go ahead and turn those on and just see. We're not going to live long enough to see a random NPC, so it shouldn't matter. And I turned off the experimental Z levels because, as I understand it, in the current experimental versions, there's some issues with those. So we're going to go with that. And I do like to set my world to delete whenever I'm done with it in the true permadeath roguelike fashion. You have an option to just, if you die, the world deletes permadeath. We have to start with a new world. It'll ask us, do you want to delete this? Or we can keep it, and we can actually keep re-rolling characters in the exact same world so that your next character can go and find the previous character's body and base and stuff like that and build that way. I just like to start scratch. So we'll set that to delete when we're done. And we will go ahead and just generate our world. And it's going to load everything up, and then we'll get to our character creation screen. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because I already know exactly what kind of character I want to play. And I'll kind of explain those choices as I go through. First system, point pools. We want to go with multiple pools. That's kind of like the default way to play. It's basically how your points are distributed across. A scenario, I'm going to go with evacuee. That is the base one, and I typically haven't gone with that in a very long time, but there's recently been some changes to the EVAC shelter, and I want to check those out. But there's a whole bunch of different scenarios that you can start with. Your building burning down around you. A whole bunch of other things. There's some challenges where you start out with you're depressed, infected, surrounded by fire, and sick with the flu. You know, really, really, really hard things. And these will add additional points to your scenario as you go on. So you can actually earn points by selecting a harder scenario. And the points you can use to put into stats and traits and things like that. There are a number of different professions you can start out with. They start out with different skills, different CBMs, or kind of like implants that give you special things. This game is set like in the near future, I would say. It's futuristic, but not overly so. It's like we're just discovering these new future technologies that brought upon the Cataclysm, really. But that is more in the lore. But they start with different equipment, different skills, and there's a number of different ways you can do it. Some of them give you points, some of them cost points because they're basically easier. But I found one that just kind of hit a nostalgic bone in me, and that is the punk rock girl. And we're going to go with that. She starts with a trench coat, which is a good thing. That's really the only thing great about her, and an MP3 player, which is helpful. Your default survivor starts with a couple of things, basically clean water, which is good. You need to drink clean water. You actually have to go and boil the water that you find. You can't just drink water like out of a pond. And it starts with a pocket knife and matches. These are all helpful things, but things that are easy to get around. And plus, it's a punk rock girl. All right, and for stats, I'm going to do just kind of a middle-of-the-road thing. Something like that. Not really great at anything, not really bad at anything. I haven't got a good feel for these yet since I've come back, so I figure just kind of a middle-of-the-road thing. Intelligence is used for reading and doing a lot of things, so I want that to be kind of high. And strength, strength is always good for beating things up. Probably adjust these as I play the game more, but this is kind of a middle of the road as I feel like I want to. Okay, so traits. We have positive traits over on this side and negative traits over on this side, and we're starting out with a balance of 0 to 12 and 0 to negative 12. We can take good traits, like some of the good traits I would like to take for this run, because I'm feeling sort of a very quick running in the night and raiding, kind of looting, get in and get out sort of character, just because as I'm starting out, I find that one would be a little bit easier to keep alive in the beginning. So I want them to be fast, so I want them to be fleet-footed. I want her to have night vision, so if she's raiding cities at night, she can see a little bit better. And I would like her to be a parkour expert as well, which means some of the things like counters and chairs and things like that, we don't suffer movement penalties, so that'll make us a little bit more quick on our feet. So those are positive things that we want our character to have, and that's going to give us a -6 balance here on this one because we've picked 6 positive things. We need to cancel those out by picking some bad things. And a lot of these are in, there's ways to get around some of them. Some of them are basically free points. I am going to go with Glassjaw because that's traditionally been a good, safe choice. It reduces the amount of hit points on our head, and the damage system is kind of out there. That your head has its own amount of hit points. But I think we'll be able to. Account for that, no problem. And at least in the beginning, it's not going to be a big deal. Later in the game, if we live that long, something may one-shot our head. But we'll worry about. We're not going to worry about problems we don't have right now. Let's see. I want to do heavy sleeper. This means whenever I'm asleep, noises like things breaking or footsteps are not going to wake me up. So we'll have to make sure that we're in a very secure place, or else we'll wake up with zombies munching on our toes, which is not a good way to do it. I want to do, this is a newer trait called Squeamish. And it seems kind of like a free point to me, as long as you don't want to wear the dirty clothes. The zombies are wearing clothes that are all nasty. If you can imagine like a zombie movie of some sort and imagine what clothing they're wearing. These clothes have kind of a filthy tag on them, so that, and there's ways to get around that. You can actually clean the clothes. But yeah, this character doesn't want to take a clothes off of a decaying zombie and then put them on themselves. That seems like a pretty easy point for me. And let's see, we are needing 2 more. I was going to go with nearsighted because I am nearsighted. And this basically just, it reduces our viewing radius unless we are wearing glasses. And I noticed in my last little test run, I did not take nearsighted, though I considered it. But then I noticed there are contact lenses out there. And I've never really played with contact lenses before, but with a lot of things in the game, if they're in there and you think they should work away, that's actually the way that they work. So I'm hoping we can get some contacts and basically cancel that out. Watch it, this run, the random number generator will not give us one. And over here on this side, with the tile set that we're going to be using, we can actually set a hairstyle. And about the most punk rock one I can find is a red mohawk. So I think we'll go with that. All right, next level is skills that we can start with. We've basically got 2 points that we can put into this. I'm going to put in dodging. Because that one is a tough one to start learning. You basically have to be hit by something. And I want to put a point into tailoring, which will help us with the start that I want to do. A little bit of a min-max start for doing that. And we'll go to our description. We'll name her Mini Pearl. We'll travel around the world. Just you and me, punk rock girl. All right, we have started the game proper. We are in our EVAC shelter. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. I am using one of my favorite roguelike tile sets of all time is included as part of this game. And I decided to use a different tile set, a more graphical one that's a little bit easier to see, easier to follow maybe on YouTube. But the Retro Days tile set that's included in this game, one of my favorite, I don't know, it just works. It's really hard to explain. We might switch over to that to an episode or two just because that's where most of my my I want to say muscle memory, but I guess it's visual memory is with and what the icons mean. But you know, we'll play with the new tile set, and this is certainly one of the more popular ones. You can see my character right here, and we also have a buddy. This is Clarissa Ailman. She is aware of my presence. I'm looking in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. She's wielding a Ruger. And she's wearing basketball shorts, a t-shirt, sports bra, panties, a pair of socks, a pair of Western boots, and it's basically showing what all she is currently wearing. Whenever you start out and you have static NPCs enabled, me and Clarissa here are the ones that actually made it to the EVAC shelter before the end of the world. And we can kind of look around here. We can see there's some stairs down over here. There's some benches. Down here, these are windows with closed curtains. And everything is black and white because we have all the curtains and doors closed. And it's really, really dark in here. I'm going to take a step down here. And you can see my sight radius has changed a little bit. These colors have changed. This is stuff that we've seen before, but we can't currently see. And if I come down here and I open this curtain, oh, okay, that'll let the light in. And we can now see much, much better inside here. We can also see outside. Let's go ahead and zoom it out a little bit. We can see some counters up here. We can see a computer over here in the corner. Now, it's lit up because it's really dark in here, but the screen on the computer is lit up. So this area right here is lit up as well. And if we look out down here to the south, we can see down into the woods. And if we click X, we can go and just take a look. We can see our full sight radius. We can see that there is a syringe out in the woods. Interesting. There is a rock that is also interesting. And yeah, we can just let some light in and see. We don't want to do that right now because there could be bad things outside, and there most likely is bad things outside. So we want to hole up in here until we know that the outside is somewhat safe. Over here on this bench, there is a thing, and there's a little exclamation point, if you can see it. Let's go ahead and zoom that in, which means that there's actually more than one item there. So I'm going to hit G and hit over that way, and it's going to show me that all the items that are over there. There's a folded emergency blanket. there are 3 paper wrappers of protein rations, a FEMA evacuation pamphlet, and this isn't in the older versions. This is like a brand new change where they revamped these EVAC shelters to where they actually have stuff in them. Welcome to your emergency survival shelter. We hope your stay here will be short and comfortable. Provided are an emergency blanket, high visibility jacket, gas mask, food and water rations for 1 day, as well as an emergency lighter and a flashlight. There are further supplies in the communal cabinets should the facility be over its intended capacity. These resources are checked and updated by FEMA on a regular basis. If you find some items are missing, please contact FEMA supervisor at your earliest convenience. Please wait in the shelter until transport arrives. Take me to my home or to the nearest evacuation gathering point. None of this stuff is going to happen, by the way. There are some FEMA areas. The world has collapsed beyond FEMA's control. Spoiler alert, I guess I should say. And in the event that I have been evacuated under violent circumstances, FEMA recommends I take cover in the shelter's basement until help arrives. Remember, if you leave the shelter, we cannot find you and take you to safety. All right. There's also a glass shard here, some plastic forks and knives, and a paper wrapper. Now, a lot of these items are junk. A lot of these items can be remanufactured into other things. There's a very in-depth crafting system in this game, and we will get to that here in the future. We come up here. We have a broken console over here. We have a console over here. And if we come over here and interact with this console, gives us a little bit of information, gives us an emergency message. Greetings, citizen. A biological attack has taken place and a state of emergency has been declared. Emergency personnel will be aiding you shortly. To ensure your safety, please follow the steps below. Do not panic. Remain inside the building. Seek shelter in the basement. Use the provided gas masks and await further instructions. We also have the ability to do a contact us. And if this doesn't error out, which it will, sorry, I'm on an experimental version. That happens from time to time. But sometimes that will give you the location of the refugee center on our main map. Just go ahead and quit it and shut down for now. That is all right. We got some more items laying around here. Over here, we have some lockers. And if we step this close to the lockers, we don't see anything. But if we step right next to them, we see that they actually have items in them. Basically, more protein rations, more pamphlets, more plastic things. Anything good in here? Not that I see. You used to not start with any food or water. Now you have the ability to find food or water in the EVAC shelter. And there's also a chance of finding some first aid kits and things like that down in the basement. Let's go ahead and check the basement out. We got some items over here. Protein rations, emergency blankets. I don't want to filter. And, okay, it looks like this has changed a little bit. In the earlier version I was using, there were a whole bunch of lockers down this side, and it was just ridiculous how much water and food there was. You could survive for months in here based just off of that alone. It doesn't look like there's anything over here. Down here we have some bathrooms. We do have a gallon jug of ammonia, some soap, and some paper. We can use soap, I believe, to deal with that filthy clothing I was talking about earlier, should we need to. And over here, we have a first aid kit. That is good. And another first aid kit. So we'll go ahead and pick those guys up. I'm hitting G to grab from a location, and up and down arrows to select basically an item. And then I am hitting the right arrow key to check that as something I want to pick up, and then hit enter and whatever you've checked off. So that way you can, there's a whole bunch of different ways to interact with inventory. I'll start this way and probably move to another way here soon. All right, so we need to get surviving. We need to do some things. I'm going to go ahead and step out of the shelter here and just have a look around. Let's pull our zoom back a little bit. You can see there's kind of a road out here. Let's take a look at our map. I don't think I've done that yet. I can hit M to get a map view. And this tells us basically we're right here in the middle at this EVAC shelter. All the Fs here are basically forest. There's some kind of cyan Fs every now and then. That's like a swamp area. The gray coming up through here is a road. The green lines, that's like a trail, like a hiking trail or something like that. And there are a whole bunch of other markers. These little brown dots, this is like basically an open field. This X right here is actually a radio tower, and it is very, very close to our EVAC shelter, which is just right here. We have another EVAC shelter over here. And the EVAC shelters with the recent changes, there's a whole bunch of variations on those. One that we're in looked fairly well stocked. There are some that are like vandalized and some that have occupants, if I understand correctly. And up in here, all these symbols, this is basically a city. This is the city of Hingham? Hingham? Hingham. That's what we're going to go with. And each one of these symbols means something. These little green, greater than, less than, V's, and carrots, these are houses, just regular residential houses. This one right here is a police station. There's a radio station. There's an open sewer. That sounds nice. A gardening allotment. And these are basically just all different buildings inside of the city of Hingham. And there are a lot of them. That is a cathedral, right? Yep. And yeah, so we're going to want to go into that city and do a little bit of looting and getting things. However, not only is it full of good stuff, it's also full of bad stuff. In the cities are where the bad guys like to hide. So I'm guessing that road right there probably leads to the radio, or to the big radio tower. We'll want to climb up to the top of that because that gives us an advantage. But first, I want to grab some things that we're going to need in order to get started here. The first thing I want to get is a rock and a stick. And I also want to get my survival skill up to level 1. And we can do that particularly by these little green bushes. We can actually search through them and look for things. So I'm going to hit E and point in the direction of one of those bushes, and it's going to tell me that I foraged through the underbrush, but I didn't find anything. And we're just going to continue to do that. Oh, it looks like I found some feathers. Do I need feathers? I don't think I do. I'm not actually looking for stuff. I'm just trying to get my survival skill up. And we started at 0. We're now currently at 19% just by doing that. And when that hits 100%, we'll gain a point in survival. It's very, very good to have starting out because you can make some items that we'll definitely want to use. We found a cardboard box. All right, and another thing we want to find is a rock. I think we saw one earlier, but we can also find like one of these right here, a small boulder, and we can break it up to get a whole bunch of rocks. So I'm going to grab this heavy stick, and I am going to wield this heavy stick. Right now, it's just like in my pocket. If I hit W, I can wield it, meaning that I'm going to actually use that as a weapon. It has a bash of 14, which means it does 14 bashing points. We're going to go ahead and wield that. So we can see right now, it's in my hands. I've got a heavy stick, and I'm going to go over here to this group of rocks, and I'm going to smash it by hitting the S button. All right, and that's going to break that apart, and that's going to get us a little section of items here. We're going to go ahead and grab those. That's going to give us a sharp rock and 5 rocks. Now, I want the rock because it is used in crafting to make rock things, but also it has this property right here, which is a hammering quality. And to make some crafts, we need that. We need something that has hammering in order to do that. So rocks are really easy to find, and they have that ability. I'm starting to kind of breathe a little bit. I do have a sound pack installed. You might be able to hear that. You might not. But this up here is my stamina bar. And if that gets to 0, it's going to kind of hurt us a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just rest here, wait a while, and catch my breath. We want to keep that stamina bar full as soon as possible. We will suffer penalties, and we can actually hurt ourselves by running out of stamina. All right, so we've got that. I'm actually going to make my way over to this radio tower, I believe. Let's go ahead and zoom out a bit. And as I make my way over there, I'm going to go ahead and just pick up these plants. We are currently at 77% survival, so we're really close. Oh, come on. We gotta be so close, right? 97%. Can we do it with this one? No. Can we do it with this one? Yes. Okay, now our survival skill is up to level 1, which is where I want it to be. All right, so here is the radio tower. It is surrounded by a fence. We can just walk right through. Yeah. And this is a structure that is multiple Z levels. So right now, if we look at the map, we currently see just the ground level where we're at right now. But there are some stairs going up here. So if I go up these stairs, we're now at the next level. We can see the roof of the building that we just saw earlier, as well as the next level. And if we look at our map, we can see, we're only seeing that much of it now. So what I want to do is go ahead and just take this all the way to the top. All right, yeah, just like this. And what this will do is it greatly expands our view radius around, so we can actually see more of the map than we could before. And as we're coming down, we can see this T over here. This is an office tower, I believe. So basically not a skyscraper, but a multi-story building. And as we come down, we see these S's. That's a school. And you can see it's multiple levels. And now we can see some 2-story houses kicking in right here. Maybe 3-story houses. But now we get down to our ground level, and we can see our map radius has expanded out quite a bit, and we can see a lot more of this town. Before, we could only see a couple dots of this cathedral right here, and now we can see way, 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 way further. And there's a couple of stores here that a hunting supply store. That's a very good store to visit. And is that a military surplus? No, that's a market. Military surplus right there, the lowercase, or the uppercase M, not the lowercase m. That's a good place to visit as well. Sometimes you can find like old army equipment, stuff that we may need. But yeah, I just wanted to go up there and get that bonus. Sometimes at the top of these radio towers, there's also some items as well. And there's generally some items in this building as well, but it's really close, so I'm not going to worry about it right now. I want to get started on what we're going to need for our activities tonight. All right, so I've got a stick. It has some bashing properties. I'm going to start crafting stuff, and I need some raw materials for that. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to start smashing these benches up. And Clarissa's not going to like that a little bit. Was that her name? Clarissa? Yeah. And she's coming over here saying, hey, what was that? That sounds bad. She's coming over to check out the noise. And we're going to smash up these lockers as well to get some metal components. So that gives us wood, and that gives us metal. There's a whole bunch of items here that gave us splintered wood, nails, and planks. And over here on the metal side, we're getting chunks of steel, pipe, scrap metal, small metal sheets, as well as all the items that were in the lockers. And our stamina has fallen quite a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and wait to fill that back up. All right, and that gives us a good start. And then I'm going to come through here and grab these curtains and tear them down. Because these are basically sheets, and we can use those and cut them up into rags and do a little bit of crafting with those. Let's see, I'm going to grab this one. And let's grab this one in the upper corner as well. All right, that should start us out good. I'm going to come over here to this spot right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and drop all my stuff. And then I'm going to come and I'm going to hit the / key, and that's going to turn on a mode where I can just start hauling items. And as I go over them, I'm going to pick them up and move them around. Now, we're not saving any time. It's actually simulating the amount of time that it would take for me to pick all that stuff up and move it to the next square. So we're not saving anything there, but we are, it's making it a lot easier on us. So I'm going to take it. And I'm going to take everything to that square as well. And let's grab this stuff if we can and bring it up here as well. The reason I like this corner right here is this is lit because of the computer terminal. Where we're standing right now, we actually need light in order to craft things, so we can craft indefinitely right here. We could, of course, open the window and craft in this spot if we wanted to, or down here. That would be fine. This one would be too dark to craft, but right here next to the computer will be fine. All right, so I want to go ahead and create some items. Let's see, what is our... Can we get rid of the mouse view? Thank you. Our focus is 79. That'll be good for now. Focus is the better you are, the more comfortable you are, the better fed you are, better your mood, your focus will be higher. And it's basically like a multiplier. toward the skill that you're earning. So if we do something right now that you increase your skills by doing things or by reading books, and we're basically getting 79% of the experience toward that skill that we earn. Higher focus is always better. Right now, just starting out, I just want to make things. I am hitting the ampersand key to get to our crafting menu, and as you can see, there's a lot of things we can make. We're not going to make most of these, but we're going to go ahead and start off with some basic survival tools here. I want to make a makeshift crowbar, a very useful item for looting, because we're going to need a crowbar to get into some places that we need to get into. And I want to make a spike, which we can make from metal. And, oh, I forgot. This was a new thing that was put in here with crafting. Let's see. Dispose of my wielded makeshift crowbar and start working. I get the idea behind this, but and I don't disagree with it. It's just it's a lot of clicks. It's a lot of clicks. I want to put the makeshift crowbar in my inventory so I have hands free in order to make this spike. We can get around this somewhat by defining a crafting spot. So let's do that. Let's put it right over there. So we're designating this spot to crafting. That's where we're going to do our crafting instead of in our hands, and we won't have to deal with all those dialogues. It takes a little bit longer, but yeah, you know. In earlier versions, in the last couple of versions I was playing, these are actually, if you have a workbench or a crafting spot, you don't have to worry about that. You could actually drag these cabinets up close to the computer and do your crafting that way, and that would be considered a workbench. However, in this version, they changed these to cupboards and not tables, so that's no longer an option, and you can't grab and move those. Okay, so let's continue our crafting. We made a crowbar. We made a spike. I need to disassemble my long strings. That's going to disassemble those into short strings, and we actually need a short string and a spike in order to make a makeshift knife, which I would like to have. Okay, and that dropped down here in our crafting spot. Now we can use that to basically cut up our sheets that we just pulled down. These are the curtains. Whenever you break it down a curtain, it turns into sheets. And we're going to cut these up, and that's going to give us thread and rags, which are used to make clothing as well as other things. And I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of those, cut up a couple of those. All right, and basically what I'm trying to do is get my focus back up because we're getting ready to do some kind of bulk crafting in order to skill up our fabrication skill up to 1. So let's see. Let's go back to the butcher menu, and I'm gonna take apart a rag. This will take apart the rags and turn them into thread, and it takes a very long time to do. I think it's like an hour, and that is a good little focus boost in the beginning. You're basically trading in time for focus. All right, let's go ahead and do that again to get a little bit more of a focus bump. All right, we're hungry and thirsty now. I'm not worried about that. Focus is at 89. It's good enough to start. Let's go over to our weapons, and I'm going to create a rock and a sock. We're basically going to take one of our rocks and put it in our socks. That's going to be considered a weapon and crafting, and that will help raise up our fabrication. We're wanting to get that to 1. So I'm going to go ahead and create the rock and a sock. I'm going to now disassemble the rock in a sock. Oh, and I didn't get a number for it. And then we're just going to make it again. And then we're going to take it apart. And we're just going to practice making rocks. We're going to put the rock in our sock and take it out. And that's going to give us our good old-fashioned fabrication skill. We're just going to grind it out until we get it. And where are we at right now? We are at a fabrication of 79%, so we're actually pretty close. Our focus is going a little bit, but I want to just go ahead and go for it here. Did we get it? Nope. How close are we? 98%. All right, this one should do it. Okay, there we go. Fabrication skill has increased to 1. Very good. All right, let's go ahead and take that rock and a sock apart. And let's go ahead and put our socks back on. We can do that by wearing them. Here's our items that we have around. There's our pair of socks. We're going to go ahead and put those back on. And then I'm going to go back to butchering up some sheets to get some more rags, because we are going to focus on getting us some starter clothing. And I'd like to get tailoring up to level 3. We are currently at level 2 at 0%. We need to get it up to 3 because there's an item that I want to make. So we're going to butcher up some sheets. Yeah, maybe a couple more. Or one more, and let's take apart some rags to get that little focus boost of waiting around for an hour. All right, 93, that'll work. And it's 2:59, 2:59 in the afternoon. We've been doing this all day, but we're almost there. We're almost there. I want to go ahead and go back to our crafting menu, make some armor now. Oh, we need to go to other first because I need a wooden needle. This is what we needed the fabrication 1 for, so we can make a wooden needle. We use the wooden needles to make clothing, basically. It's kind of a makeshift way to do it. There are other ways, better ways to go about it, but a wooden needle works in a pinch, and we're definitely in a pinch. All right, so armor. Did we not make the needle? Oh, no, we messed up and destroyed the splintered wood. Okay, so let's try to make the needle again. All right, there we got it. There's our needle. Now we can go through and make some armor here. All right, I want to make some cargo shorts. And I want to make some long underwear bottoms. That'll be good. I want to make... I want to make a long sleeve... Oh, I want to make a balaclava, which is kind of like a face mask that people use to rob banks. And I want to make... let's see, a long sleeve shirt. There we go. That, I think, is all we want at the moment. That brings our tailoring up to 2. We're at 80%, so we're really, really close. All right, let's go ahead and wear these items that we just made. We want to put on our cargo shorts. We want to put in our balaclava. We want to put in our long sleeve shirt and our long underwear bottom. So now we just have a lot of clothes. We can see our character here. She's got the balaclava on and her glasses are on the outside of it. It's awesome. But we are going to experience some issues with encumbrance. This is something that's modeled in the game as you're putting on items. You just can't put on just items and items and items. You're going to get an encumbrance penalty on them, and that's going to give you some bad things. Right now we have some things that are highlighted yellow here, and the problem is that we basically have boxer shorts as well as long underwear on, and they're kind of conflicting with each other. Because they're in the same kind of space. They're both worn really close to your skin. So they're causing some extra encumbrance there. And the same thing with the skirt and the cargo shorts. They're kind of covering the same spot, so we're getting an encumbrance penalty there. If we look down here at our legs, we can see that we have an encumbrance of 3 plus 4, and that plus 4 is because of these extra items. So let's go ahead. I want to drop the boxer shorts because they don't have as much coverage as the long underwear bottoms. And I want to drop, not the makeshift crowbar, but the skirt. Because it covers the same place as the cargo shorts, but it doesn't have pockets like the cargo shorts do. And we'll get into that here in a minute. All right, still not quite at tailoring 3 yet. I'm going to go ahead and we can reload our wooden needle with thread. And we can use that needle to improve the clothing that we're currently wearing. So the green lines next to the clothing is telling its condition. The 2 green lines right here are basically saying it's in immaculate condition or a very, very good condition. As they get used, you'll see kind of like it turn into different colors, and you'll see dots, and it's kind of like a progress bar that you're seeing right here is what that's emulating. You'll see as we get clothing damage. We'll definitely get clothing damage. But we can repair that if they go below that, and we can also take it and reinforce it, which makes it even better than new. So I'm going to go ahead and do some reinforcement here. We'll do our socks. Our balaclava looks like we don't have a very good chance to do that. Same thing with the long underwear. Maybe the long sleeve shirt? Oh no, are these all? Oh, okay. The cargo shorts. We can do that really easily. Okay, and that gets this ++, which means that it's actually better than new. Let's see, we're at 82% tailoring. What time is it? Let's go ahead. I'm trying to think if I want to go ahead and take apart another rag just to get our focus up a bit. And let's use the wooden needle to, let's improve our balaclava. We don't have a very good chance to do it, but we're just trying to grind out a skill here. So we'll repeat until reinforced. And it worked. Did we get our tailoring? No, but we're really, really close. Okay, let's do it one more time, and let's do it on our underwear bottoms. All right, increased our tailoring to level 3. That's what we want. I want to go over here to armor, and I want to create a backpack, which will increase our carry volume quite significantly. Not a backpack, actually, but a travel pack. Where is it? Are we missing something for it? Find. Travel pack. Right there. Make it, man. What are you waiting on? All right, there we go, right there. So if I click my inventory here real quick and open it up, you can see that I have a weight to my inventory, but I also have a volume in my inventory. And the volume is actually what gets you more than the weight does. So each one of these items, some of them have pockets, like our trench coat has pockets and our cargo shorts have pockets, and these pockets actually increase our carry volume. So right now we can carry 7.75 Ls, liters, I assume, of items. And let's go ahead, we'll wear this travel pack. It's like a big backpack that you put on your back. And now we can carry 37. So that's very good. Now, it also encumbers us greatly, so it can affect our combat skills and things like that. So it's not something we want to keep just as we're fighting and things like that. But having that travel pack is going to help things quite significantly. All right, so my inventory, I think I have everything we need. Let's go ahead and wield that makeshift crowbar. It makes a nice little weapon in a pinch. And it's nighttime. It's now 11:27 p.m. It's completely dark. And our night vision skill is actually allowing us to see a little bit better than we normally would if we didn't have it. And nighttime is, because of the reduced sight radius, not only for us, but for the bad guys, it's actually a very good time to go out and loot the town. So that was the whole idea of this start, was to get that travel pack and get these clothing all set up in a way where we can hold this makeshift crowbar and carry a lot of stuff. We're really quick. We're just going to run into the city. We're going to fill up that backpack full of stuff, and we are going to run back and repeat that until we're in a good position where we can go off and fight the zombies instead of run from them. Oh, wow. Well, this episode has gone on for a while. I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in the next episode, where I think it's time we do a little bit of a night raid on the town. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.